All right, YouTube, it is Mr. Mean coming at you this fine Sunday evening, about 6 o'clock, not quite, a few minutes before today's video du jour. Funny little story. I go to Barnes and Nobles every so often just to walk through and look at their RPG section. Of course, it is mostly Dungeons and Dragons is 90% of the lion's share, with about 7% being Pathfinder and 3% being Mutants and Masterminds. That's typically what they carry. Every once in a while, you might see modern, from Green Ronin or Fantasy Age. In fact, they did have a copy of Fantasy Age 2.0 in the GM screen. Your Barnes and Noble may vary, but what shocked me as I saw a game and it had 5 copies and it was all shrink wrapped, and I had heard of the game. I remember downloading a primer for it probably a year, maybe 2 years ago, and I kind of looked at it and I went, the art style really doesn't grab me. Meh. And I deleted it off my hard drive and I never looked back. But I saw Lancer, and look at that cover. I mean, look at that spine, dude. That is awesome. It does have a ribbon, 430 pages, full color, premium art. This is done by Dark Horse. Yes, Dark Horse, that does like Aliens versus Predator comic books, and Massive, which I think Massive is their printing side of their house where they do like books and RPGs. This is phenomenal. That's all I can say. The art in here is amazing. You get a ribbon. It's Smith sewn, so it's beautifully put together. The art is fantastic. I just happen to have the bookmark on that page right there. Look at that. That is, if I can get, there we go. Look at that. That's amazing. That's one of the, I think that's one of the bad guy mechs. This game is a little different, as it's more of a narrative game until you get into combat, and combat is done with your mechs. Yes, you're a mecha pilot in this, and there's all different kinds of mechs. You are called a Lancer. You start out at Lancer level 0 or LL0. And that gives you a certain set of statistical points that you use to get things for your mech. And your mech comes, you have a certain set of mechs that you can get at level 0, and they have certain gear and abilities and yada, yada, yada. But it's a narrative game until it goes into combat, and then it becomes a somewhat of a tactical game on a hex base or a grid base battle mat. Just on the back here, it says, Lancer is a tabletop role-playing game with 4 pillars of play. Rules light, fluid, narrative play outside of the mech. So narrative storytelling, we're all about, intrigue and mystery and, dealing with everyday life and stuff like that. It's modular, progression-based mech customization where narrative, setting, and character are imbued in the gear, systems, and equipment your character chooses. So everything revolves around everything. So your mech dictates what your pilot can do. Your pilot dictates what your mech can do and all the gear that you have upon it. And it has a purpose in narrative play as well as tactical play. A play loop that encourages narrative advancement through narrative and tactical play. So again, they're trying to merge both the tactical and the narrative play. And then gritty tactical combat on a grid or hex-based play space. So what that tells me is my cool Gundam mechs, my Battletech or Robotech mechs that I have, I can use those to play gritty tactical combat with a rules light system that is going to be innovative and innovative, let's hope. And I'm going to have a lot of fun doing it. So with that being said, what is the game system? Well, it's a D20 system. In the narrative play, when you're outside of your mech, you are going to roll a d20. You're going to add any modifiers you might get from any skills that you may have, or any, I had the word and I forgot it, triggers. You get certain triggers, and depending on the background you pick, you get to enable triggers. Triggers give you a +2 to your die roll. So you want to roll a 10 or better in narrative play. Now, in tactical combat play, when you're inside your mech, the 10 is not necessarily going to always be the target number. It's dependent on the opponent or the situation that you're facing. It may be higher, could be lower, but typically it'll be higher. Triggers you get from your background and the things that you choose and play, and you'll get 4 of them, and you use them, and then as you take a rest or the scene ends, those triggers reset. So you can't keep using them over and over and over. And then you can work with your GM to create triggers as you level up. But your level is based on your Lancer level. So it's not a traditional like D&D, when I get X amount of experience points, I become a level 2 fighter. You're working narrative and combat, and you're solving situations, and then you'll get enough, XP to go to Lancer level 1, and then you'll get more points and abilities to do things. So it's very, very, very choice dependent on what you do. And then you have accuracy and what is it here? Let me get the actual verbiage so I give you the right information. You have accuracy and difficulty, and these will work in and out of combat. So basically, to play this game, you need a D20, a single D20, and you need a handful of D6s. I wouldn't say more than 3 or 4, but you could get by with 1. You just might have to re-roll it. But what's neat about this is accuracies give you a bonus. Difficulties give you a negative, and it's like advantage, disadvantage in D&D, except you're not rolling D20s, you're rolling D6s. So if you have a piece of gear that gives you a +1 accuracy, and then you have a trigger or you have an ability that gives you a +1, you would roll 2d6, but you don't add them up. You take the higher of the 2 and you add that to your d20 roll, and you go from there. Again, in a role-playing narrative situation, you're trying to beat a 10 or better, or if the GM sets a higher difficulty, whatever that is, 9 or less, you fail. It's that simple. In combat, again, like I said, it's the same thing, but these accuracy and difficulty will affect your die roll, plus or minus, and then they cancel each other out. So if you're rolling multiple difficult dice, you don't add, again, just like the accuracy dice, you're not going to add them up. You're going to take the highest die. So if you got 2 difficulties and you roll double ones, well, it's not so bad. You just -1 from your d20 roll, and off you go. But you also have grit as a player, and grit allows you to affect the story and the mechanics a little bit. And it's your license level rounded up, so minimum of 1 to start with. It's half your license level, so you're not going to see a new grit level until level 3, license level 3, because that would be half of it, 1.5 rounded up to 2. So, and that affects your attack bonuses, hit points, save targets for both you, your pilot, and your mech, because your mech is an extension of you. Not that these mechs are sentient or anything, but the Lancers, that's what they call the pilots, very attached to their mechs. And so you have backgrounds. It's a D20. You have 20 different backgrounds. They give you some options for triggers and everything. Trigger gives you a +2. And as you level up, I believe those triggers become worth more. But the art in the book is phenomenal. It's got somewhat of a cartoony feel to it. And originally when I saw this and I downloaded a primer for it, I was like, meh, that's not for me. But then they've got some art in here where you're just like, what? I mean, like that, So yeah, super cool stuff. Amazing. Purple is one of my favorite colors, so of course I love that. Harrison Armory. So there's different types of mechs that you can get. You have a Lancer level, which determines what you get, and all these mechs have their own stats. Like here's a Minotaur. It's 4 legs and 2 arms. I couldn't think of the name. But you get your core system, your stats, your armor, your save target number, agility, invert cockpit, metafold maze, quick action. These are special things you can do in combat. The game is just really, really well done from what I can see. The mechanics are pretty slim, but then there's a whole chapter detailing in depth those mechanics, and then the 3/4 of the book is, or I'd say half the book is mechs. You got so many choices, and those can also be NPCs or rivals. And then there's like the galaxy, what's going on, and then just NPCs and things like that. So really well laid out, well done. What really impressed me is when I was looking at the first page, there's a QR code for a free PDF of the game, because this was shrink wrapped when I bought it. So I couldn't even open it up and look at it. All I had to go off of was the bat, and I saw the mech combat with the missiles, and I went, this is a game for me. And so I decided to pick it up. I just thought, what the hell? And I enjoyed it. And so far it's been a great read. I'm looking forward to getting into like the universe and the politics that are going on in the world. But it's a really good game. It's very well laid out. The fact that they give you a PDF copy of the book is nice in this day and age. More companies should do that. Most of them do nowadays. Of course, WotC doesn't. You have to buy the PDF separately, but that's neither here nor there. Art is phenomenal. Layout is phenomenal. Smith sewn stitched binding. It's not going to fall apart. There's a reading ribbon, so you can do a bookmark. There's a character sheet. It's very succinct, and of course you get the PDF where you can download all of that stuff as well. And so, I mean, you're getting a digital copy of the book as well as a physical copy for it was $60 US, $59.99 plus tax. So I got mine at Barnes & Noble here in Duluth, Minnesota, and they had 5 copies. So now they have 4 unless somebody else bought them. But I was just really impressed to see it. And so I highly recommend, if you have a big box bookstore in your area, Barnes & Noble's, Borders, not One Bookshelf, I can't think of the name, but there's a number of them out there. Take a peek in every so often and just see. A lot of times people special order something, or, you know, distributors get a deal on something and they decide to grab it and carry it, and hopefully it sells, you know. So this was a complete random purchase. I walked in to see if they had something different, because normally it's all just D&D and some Pathfinder, maybe a little Mutants and Masterminds, and some Fantasy Age here and there. So I was really surprised to see this. And like I said, they had 5 copies, all shrink wrapped. So I couldn't even really open it and look at it. I had to, you know, buy it. And then I was pleasantly surprised. So I did find a nice hidden gem. So do you know about Lancers? Are you aware of this game? Were you a Kickstarter? Did you back it? Have you played it? Let me know down in the doobly-doo. Let's spark up a conversation. If you really want to, jump on my Discord. Let's talk about it there. I have a very thriving Discord. A lot of indie publishers are there. If you know the guys that published this, which was, I'll give you their names right now. It was Miguel Lopez and Tom Bloom. If you know those guys, have them drop by the Discord. I'd love to have a chat with them, because this is a cool book. This is one I would love to play. I think it would play well via Discord and over the interwebs. I was very impressed with it. So I hope that finds everybody well. And as always, peace and hair grease. I'm going to sign off here. I hope everyone has a wonderful Sunday afternoon, and I'll see you in the next one. As always, like and subscribe. You can buy this on DriveThruRPG, I believe. Use my affiliate link. It's down in the doobly-doo. Permanent link to my Discord, as always. And if you want to really support the channel, Patreon, $5 a month, or buy me a coffee, Ko-Fi. You can do a one-time donation. So anyway, thanks as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.